Hey everyone, I am Ashley Wright and I am the founder of Worthy of the Crown Pageant Coaching. I have over 20 years of experience within this industry. I have coached, judged, and prepared hundreds of contestants for local, state, national, and international systems. So that means I've prepared contestants, I've prepared clients for systems both within and outside of this country, okay? When it comes to pageant interview, I have judged, again, hundreds of contestants from all different types of systems, hundreds of contestants for pageant interview. And the reason why I wanted to do this live tonight is because regardless of the system, I keep seeing the same exact mistakes over and over and over and over. So what we're going to be talking about tonight is some of those major interview mistakes that keep costing you the crown. For those of you all who are familiar with pageantry, maybe you've done pageantry before, maybe this is your second time, third time, but for some reason you're just like, what is it? Why can't I place? Why can't I win? Why am I not succeeding? 9 times out of 10 is something that you're doing in an interview. And so we're going to go ahead and jump in tonight with some of those major mistakes and how we can actually rectify those so that we can be a little bit more prepared for interview moving forward. All right. So the first one we're jumping into is paperwork. I will tell you all that messy paperwork is never going to get you great scores in interview. All right. For some of you all, you're like, okay, well, that's kind of, that's something that we know. But no, when I tell you that whenever you are filling out your paperwork, a lot of girls and a lot of contestants, I find that some of them really don't take the paperwork seriously. It's sort of like one of those things where, okay, well, we got to get it finished. So I go ahead and complete my paperwork. It's submitted. It's done. But no, your paperwork is extremely important. Your paperwork is going to speak before you do. Okay, so whenever, especially me as a judge, and I told you all, I'm also an attorney. I'm an attorney. I've been practicing now for 8 years. And so I am a stickler when it comes to grammatical errors, sentence structure, all of those things, all that jazz. And so when your paperwork comes to me, before you even step foot in that room, I'm looking at your paperwork, just the 4 corners of the document, to even figure out what type of contestant you are. Are you someone that's really detail oriented? Are you someone that, takes time to sort of put sentences together? Are you telling a story throughout your paperwork? If not, I'm sort of looking at you in a certain light prior to you coming in. And say it, we say, oh, well, we don't judge. Well, as a pageant judge, it's my job to judge, right? So I say that to say, ladies, please be mindful of your paperwork. Grammatical errors, sentence structure, making sure that your paperwork is actually telling a story before you do, making sure that it's in a professional tone, okay? All of those things are important. The next thing is not leading the interview, okay? So some of you say, well, Coach Ashley, what does that mean? Pageant judges are the ones that are supposed to lead the interview. No, baby girl, you are the one that's supposed to lead the interview. And what I mean by this is that you sort of adopt this sort of mindset that anything goes. Whatever the judges ask, I'm going to answer. But what I mean by leading the interview is before you go into interview, especially with my clients, I like my girls to sort of make a checklist, maybe a checklist of everything that they like to cover while they're in interview. Okay. So that checklist, you may have platform, you may have your academics, education, you may have volunteer service, unique qualities. Maybe you speak 10 languages. Okay. Maybe you've traveled to 30 countries. Whatever it is, you want to make sure that you have a checklist for what it is you want to get out during interview. So if you go in interview and you're just sort of just willy-nilly, whatever it is goes, and you're not really following that checklist and getting out those things that you need to get across, you're not leading the interview, baby. The judges are just asking questions and you're just answering them. You need to go in specifically with a goal in mind to say, when I leave this interview, I want to be able to have touched on these particular topics. Next one is memorized answers. We all know about this one. Stop memorizing your answers, ladies, okay? Stop memorizing your answers. When you're memorizing these answers, it's sounding like Pageant Patty. Pageant Patties are the girls that come in, they're extremely polished. Every single answer they have memorized how they're going to say it, down to the tone, down to the pitch, everything. We ain't doing that, all right? This is it's a conversation. I want you all to think about it as a conversation, with 2 colleagues over coffee, all right? It's a conversation. It's a dialogue. It's not a monologue, but it's a conversation between 2 colleagues about a similar interest, and that interest being this particular pageant, all right? So keep that in mind. Make sure that you're not memorizing those answers because, again, it's easy to spot, and as a judge, I'm onto it, all right? Next thing I want to talk about, the 4th thing, is not listening to the question. So this one is really important because, again, a lot of times girls are nervous. So you're nervous. You want to answer the judge's questions, but you're not listening. You have to listen to what the judge is asking you. So for instance, as a judge, if I ask you, hey, Shannon, give me, let's say, 3 words that describe you best. And then you burst out with 2 words, right? You say, okay, well, words that describe me best are, knowledgeable and resilient. Well, that's 2 words. I asked you for 3. Even though you technically answered the question, you didn't answer my question, right? Another example would be, say, for instance, if I'm asking you a question, maybe it's a yes or no question, or I may say, tell me about a time, where you had to overcome a certain challenge and tell me what you did exactly to overcome it. So that's a 2-part question, right? Maybe you may answer the first part of the question, but you don't answer the second part, or maybe you answer the second part and not the first. I say all of that to say listening to the question is extremely vital. Reason being is because as a pageant judge, if I'm asking you a question and a girl decides not to answer my question, I could become offended by that. Okay, it's rare when judges do, but at the same time, you want to make sure that if a judge is asking you a question, that you answer the question that's being asked. That's extremely important. All right. Moving on to number 5, answers in an interview that have no substance. You all, ladies, we know about this one. The cliche answers, make an impact. I want to be a role model, right? I want to show that anything is possible. You hear about this stuff all the time. These are all answers where I can literally take your answer out your mouth and plop it into the answer of another pageant contestant. Now, if I'm able to do that, that's a problem. All right. So I say that to say, make sure that when you are giving these answers that they're not cliche, they're personal. They are personal to you. So if you say you want to make an impact, what impact? What type of impact? You say you want to be a role model in what way? All right. So just make sure that when you're giving these answers, ladies, that they're not cliche. You're not giving answers that just sound good. You're giving answers that are true to you and who you are at your core. All right. Next one is a simple one, talking too fast. Got to slow down. I know I talk fast when I get nervous, so that means I have to intentionally slow down and make sure that I'm making sense. But if you're talking too fast, judges aren't comprehending and not picking up on that great content and what you're talking about. Number 7, interview mistake that keeps costing you the crown. You're not making eye contact. Not making eye contact. All right. So with that, judges are looking you in your eyes and you're just kind of looking all around. You're looking everywhere else but the judges. Whenever you're making eye contact with me, what does that say? It says that you're reliable. It says that you're honest. And for me, if you are reliable, you're honest, I can relate to you. Therefore, there's a connection there, right? The whole purpose of pageant interview is to create connections with the judges. You're trying to connect those dots with the judges to get them to side with you. Right. So if you're not looking me in my eyes, there's not a connection going on there. But the important thing is that that's why we talk about when you're going in interview, you have to have a goal in mind. What is it that you want to get out during interview? You have a goal in mind. You know what it is you want to cover. So you go in with that goal in mind. That'll help you not go blank in interview because you have a goal. You have a framework that you're working from. Shannon, you said, can I touch on time interviews? For example, Miss Florida USA interview is 2.5 minutes. Yes, that's another thing, Shannon. So I may get on that in a little bit further. But for that, whenever all interviews are timed, right? So for a fact that you only have a short window of time to get across what you want to get across to the judges. I recommend that if for a fact you have a short time window, that means you have to be strategic in what it is that you want to discuss. Can't discuss everything. So you go through, you make that checklist about the things that you definitely need to get out. Platform, and it depends on the brand and the mission of your system, right? If your system is very volunteer, community service based, you want to get that stuff out. You want to get out your platform. You want to get out your academics or your education. Certain things you want to make a checklist of, that you want to get out, and everything else is just extra. But making that checklist ahead of time will help you to organize your thoughts and know exactly what it is you want to cover. And the other stuff that you can kind of just leave off to the side. Maybe leave it in your paperwork, but maybe it's not something that you cover actually during the 2.5-minute interview. Does that make sense? All right. So I think we were on number 8. Assuming all the questions require the same amount of energy. Every question doesn't require the same amount of energy, ladies. All right. You got some questions that are $2 questions and you got some questions that are, $100 questions. All right. So your $2 questions are your questions that, are very similar to this. What's your favorite color and why? Or if you could travel anywhere in the world, where would it be and why? Those are your $2 questions. They don't require a lot of energy, don't require a lot of effort. They require you to actually, put some thought into them, right? Because you're going to answer it in a way that's professional, in a way that comes across, in a great way to the judges. However, that's not your question. That is not going to hold the same amount of weight as tell me about your platform or why is it that you want to win this title? Those are your $100 questions versus your $2 questions. A lot of times girls mix up the two and they think every question is a $200 question, or every question is a $100 question, and it's not. All right, so that's going to take you being able to be mindful of the questions that are being asked. When you're hearing a question from a judge, in your mind, you should automatically say, okay, is this a $2 question or a $100 question? And that's going to determine how much weight you give to the question. Number 9, not selling yourself. This is an extremely important one, okay? Extremely important one, because you are responsible for doing your homework to determine what it is, to determine what's unique about you, okay? Why are you interesting? Why is it that as a judge, if I have to sit, and I'm doing interviews all day, I have interviews, I've interviewed 100, 200 girls at this point. Why is it that I should focus on you? Why should I focus on you? It is up to you to be able to sell yourself, to explain to a judge why you're interesting, why you're unique. Why should you win this title? You need to be able to sell yourself. I can tell you that one thing that I noticed that a lot of contestants do, particularly in interview, is, I will ask the question purposefully. I'll ask, is there anything else that you'd like to tell me? Anything else you'd like for me to know? And a lot of girls will say, no, I don't have anything else. Thank you for your time. And they'll get up and leave. And to me, I'm completely blown away, because I'm like, you just missed out on a ton of points, and a huge opportunity to sell yourself to me. To sell to me why you deserve to win this pageant. Why is this brand and the mission of this pageant, why is that aligned, or how does that align with your goals and who you are at your core? How does that align with who you are as a contestant? All of these things are extremely important, and judges got to hear it. All right. So whenever you have an opportunity to sell yourself to the judges in an interview, don't take that lightly. Sell yourself. All right, the next one is poor communication skills and delivery. And this is just communication 101. All right, so your eye contact, your purposeful pauses, making sure that you're pausing, as you're speaking, right? Using your hands, if you're going to use your hands, making sure that you're using them with purpose. So your hands aren't just willy-nilly going around. You're using your hands with purpose, right? You're enunciating your tone. What does your voice sound like? Are you projecting your voice? Not screaming, but you're speaking in a way, that's purposeful, and you're able to articulate your thoughts in your words without screaming at the judges. All of these things are important. Your smile, your posture, what is your body language saying? Being cognizant of your communication, what you're communicating. Your body's always speaking. Body is always speaking, so what is it saying? Being mindful of what your body is saying at all times. If you're not, you may not be mindful of it, but as a judge, I am. All right, so keep that in mind, ladies. Next one is not being informed. Not being informed. We talked about this, not knowing the system and not knowing who you are. So every particular pageant system has a brand. Every system has a brand, it has a mission, and it has a goal and a look for its contestants, okay? And for its title holders. I will say this, for its title holders. If you are not aware of the brand of that system and the mission, the philosophy behind that particular pageant system, you're going to miss it every time. You're going to miss it every time. I say that to say, before you even choose a pageant system, you need to be mindful of what the mission and philosophy and the goal of this pageant system is. Is this pageant system, is it based on volunteer service? Is it based on, high scholastic ethical standards? What is the mission and the brand of this system? If you're just entering pageants just to enter them, without even taking this into consideration, you're never going to be good in an interview, because you're always going to miss the mark. You're going to miss the mark for this particular system and what they're looking for in a title holder. However, if you've done your homework, you've done that research, this is a mistake that you're not going to make. That was actually my last interview mistake. Wardrobe. Wardrobe is extremely important. While it may not actually be scored for interview, it's something that pageant judges absolutely take in mind. You need to be able to ask yourself, is my wardrobe distracting? Okay, a lot of times as a pageant judge, a girl will walk in and it may not be that she's, not dressed professionally, but it may not be that she's just not dressed for the particular system. She hasn't done her homework. Maybe this particular system is a more conservative system and she's walking in with an open jumpsuit, right? Okay, or maybe if this system is a little bit more liberal and she comes in with a full pantsuit. It's just not being able to, doing that research ahead of time to figure it out. To figure out what it is that I should be wearing, what fits and what doesn't. That's correct. Dark colors, I am anti-dark colors. Okay, there are so many colors in the color spectrum. This is not a job interview, okay? It's not a job interview, so stay away from the blacks, the dark colors. That's not the time for this. So you're absolutely right, Prissy. But yes, your wardrobe can be distracting. I would always say your wardrobe needs to make sure that it complements your skin tone, your body type. It needs to be fit to you. Accessories need to be kept at a minimum. Oh, it's not a runway model to where you're trying to model clothes and you're trying to model your outfit and what you have on. You are showcasing you, not the clothes, you. okay? But at the same time, that wardrobe can't be distracting to the point where I can't even listen to what you're saying, because you got these big old bangles that are on your wrists and they're shaking and they're loud every time you move your arms. Next one is not relatable. Are you relatable? You know, do you have that just like me quality, that girl next door quality? Can I look at you and say, hey, you know, she seems like somebody that I may have went to school with, or she seems like someone that I may have known, you know, from a few years back, based on who she is, you know, what her goals are, her values are. Do you have that just like me quality? Are you relatable? If not, you're not going to make a connection with the judges, and it's going to cost you. It's going to be a mistake in an interview. Next one is no effort in preparation. So sometimes I get this one a lot, and I've gotten it a few times with a couple of my own clients, and I've had to check them immediately. So when you are focused on doing enough just to get by, you're always going to miss the mark. If you say to yourself, hey, how many mock interview sessions do I need to do just to get by? Or, you know, how many times do I need to go over these questions, you know, to be good enough for interview? If that's the mindset that you have, you're always going to make mistakes in interview. Always, because you're never going to have the right amount of effort and energy that's needed to push those judges over to vote for you. You're never going to have it. So I say that to say lacking energy and effort is always going to cost you. Always going to cost you. Or not being engaging, not having any personality. Why are you running for a pageant if you have no personality? Okay, you have to be able, again, sell yourself. You need to be able to explain to the judges why you are unique, why you're interesting, what you have that these other girls don't have. You got to sell it. You got to give me that it factor, that pizzazz. If you don't have it, you're going to miss the mark every time. Every time. It's a good one. Not having any type of quality content. You got to have something that's going to make you stand out, that's going to show that you have some type of pizzazz and that you are fit for the crown, right? Next one is talking too much. Oh my God, y'all got to stop, okay? You have to stop talking too much. Think of the interview portion of the pageant as just an appetizer, all right? So the judges have already gotten your bio sheet, right? And so you don't have much time. This kind of goes back to Shannon's question. You don't have much time to talk. You may have anywhere from 2.5 to 4 minutes to get everything out, right? You don't have much time to talk. So I only need your highlight reel, baby. I don't need everything. I don't need your mom name, grandma, auntie. I don't need any of that stuff. I just need your highlight reel. What are your highlights? What are your values? You know, if I could take a picture of you in the interview, right? And I just did a snapshot of you, what would I see? That's what you should focus on. Focus on your highlight reel in the interview. Okay, don't give me all of it. I need an appetizer. I don't need a full course meal because I don't have time for that. This one, not being professional. It seems like it's one that you would think girls, they, you know, understand that, hey, I have to be professional in a pageant interview. Not so much. Sometimes girls are too laxed. I say that to say, be mindful of the fact that this is still a pageant interview. Okay, I'm not one of your little friends. I am a pageant judge and I'm looking for a queen. I'm looking for someone to represent this system. I'm looking for someone that's going to fit the brand and the mold of this pageant. If you're too laxed in your pageant interview, that's going to come across as offensive to me because I'm always going to be professional. I'm going to play the part. I'm going to be professional. I'm going to give you your time and I'm going to respect you in your role as a contestant and the time that you've taken to prepare for this pageant. Okay, so I expect the same. So be mindful of that, ladies. Keep your pageant interview at a professional level. Number 19, lacking growth mindset. This is a huge one. So there have been times where I have coached or at least had coaching sessions or prospective client meetings with girls who lack this growth mindset. And what I mean by that is these girls come in and their only goal is to win. The only goal is to win. I will tell you now that if you don't have a growth mindset and your only goal is to win a pageant, you'll never win it. You'll never win it. I say that to say because you have to be able to come to terms with reality. You're not going to win every pageant. You're not going to place in every pageant. And so how I train my girls to come in with a growth mindset and say, okay, you know what? This is my first time competing in this system. So what I'm going to do, instead of defining success by wearing a crown and a sash, I'm going to define success by personal goals that I want to achieve. So I've had some contestants, they come in and they say, well, you know what? You know, Coach Ashley, I think I want to just, since this is my first time, I want to actually challenge myself to actually place in an optional competition. Or maybe I want to place top 15. Okay, so you're coming in with a goal that's realistic based on where you are in your pageant journey. What this does is it builds resiliency and it improves your performance and your results over time. Okay? Pageants is more than just winning. It's more than just winning. And if you're in it just to win it, you'll never win it. You'll never win it. The last one I talked about wardrobe, distracting wardrobe, okay? How your wardrobe can make or break you. If it's distracting, even though it's not being scored, as a judge, I'm taking it all into consideration. I'm taking in the full package, okay? I'm taking it from head to toe. What do you look like from head to toe? What's your makeup looking like? What's your hair looking like? Did you take the time to do your makeup? Did you take the time to do your hair? What did you decide? What is your choice of wardrobe? How did you decide to put things together? I'm looking at all those things. So I want the full package. Interview mistakes. Interview is one of the most neglected areas of competition. It's the most neglected because a lot of times, girls just figure, hey, it's just one of those things I got to get through, but my whole goal is to really get on stage. I will tell you that if you do not put the time and the energy and the effort into interview, it don't even matter what you do on stage. It's not going to be successful because, again, the interview is that is your first introduction to the judges. That is the judge's first opportunity to get to know you. It's their first impression of you. They will build that in interview. So starting with paperwork, you want to start with paperwork all the way through. All that needs to be perfect. All right. So I said to say, if there's anybody here tonight, if we talked about a lot of things, we've hit on some stuff. We've hit on paperwork. We've hit on trying to, develop your platform. If you all have any questions about any of that, you're looking to sort of get some feedback on that to figure out if you've sort of missed the mark or if you're on the right track when it comes to your platform, if you're on the right track when it comes to your paperwork. I offer sessions for that. So I'm here and I'm available to look at that paperwork. We're going to get it down and get it perfect. You're probably not going to like me too much when we're done, but your paperwork will be perfect and interview ready. Okay, so I do want to offer for everyone that is on this call tonight, I do want to offer you all, if you would like, I have a free mock interview episode that is just specific to my ladies that joined the call tonight. If you're interested in receiving that, all you need to do is just DM me, so direct message me your email and I'll be sure to provide you with that. But it's a free mock interview episode. It's really cool because it's going to help simulate exactly what you would do in pageant interview down to the time frame, right? So what it is, I'll ask you a question. There'll be a 20-second timer that'll come on, and that 20 seconds is going to be extremely similar to what you would expect in pageant interview. But it's going to be very similar to what you would actually experience in pageant interview. Pageant interview questions should not go longer than 20 minutes, 20-ish, 22 minutes max. But pageant interview questions should not go longer than that. So it's really going to stimulate that and help you to be cognizant of your time and be mindful of how you're actually formulating your answers in a way that's going to it's going to have content, it's going to have substance, but again, it's going to be brief. Brevity is key. I appreciate you all for tuning in. Have a great night and have an amazing Thanksgiving weekend. Talk to you soon, ladies. Bye-bye.